What's going on, everybody? This is Al from playbookgamer.com, and today we're going to look at the Delaware spread playbook in College Football 26. This is a new team to the game, therefore it is a new playbook to the game, along with like Missouri State, I think, is the other new team. So this is brand spanking new. Many people probably wouldn't think to look at this playbook if you want like a basic spread attack, plenty of shotgun, maybe with a little bit of pistol. This is kind of what to expect with this one. It's not a very big playbook either, but we're going to go with the formations, concepts, play types, and personnel, and hopefully by the end of the video you have a good idea of what this playbook is all about. So again, this is a spread playbook, so expect plenty of shotgun, and that's where we're going to start. Starting off with split Y off. Not many playbooks have this formation, but it's a nice two-back look. Then we got doubles. You're going to see a lot of 11 personnel in this one. Here's a 2x2 look. Then you got doubles offset. You got your halfback offset of the quarterback. Then you got doubles Y off, so that tight end and your Z receiver are flipping spots on the line of scrimmage. Then you got normal Y off weak. Then you got wing trips. Then you got wing trips week, so the weak version of that. Then we got Y off trips. Then we got the weak version of that. Then we got trio halfback weak, putting all your receivers over to one side. Then we got flanker close. So this is another oddball formation. This is actually a 4 wide look. And this is very run and shoot-ish. I thought it was interesting that they threw it in this particular playbook. You got 9 plays there. Then we go right back to your tight end, 11 personnel stuff. Another 2x2. You're starting to really spread out the defense with spread Y slot. 27 plays there. And then we got normal flex snug. This is another oddball play formation. Not many playbooks have it. Then we got trips Y slot strong. Again, your number 12, your tight end, he's still out there. Tray open, the same thing. You're just moving your halfback to the other side, and then you're moving your tight end on the line. Then you got trips Y slot weak. And then this is, notice by default, I think it's interesting why EA does this, but you notice at the play package or the sub package at the bottom, this is the default sub package. They automatically put it as such, but it puts your number 2 tight end right there. But if you move it over, you got plenty of sub packages in this particular formation, by the way. When you go to your basic default one, it puts your number 1 tight end there. Why it does that by default, I don't know if it's a glitch, but I just wanted to point that out. All right, then we got empty trio. Again, it puts your tight end out there. It also puts your halfback. So number 27 is out there. Actually, I'm wrong. So you got 4 wide receivers out there with the tight end. So that's an 0-1 personnel look. And now we're back to split Y off. And let's talk about pistol next. There's just a few of these, and then we're going to go right back. So full house strong over. This is a weird, cool formation. You're really flooding one side to stretch the defense. Then you got U off trips, a 2 tight end look, a 3x1. Then we got trips Y over, a quads look, which I think is pretty cool. And then we got bunch. So I guess the theme with the pistol, it's very stressful on the defense when you're just moving everybody to one side or the other. And then that is it in terms of formation. So before we head back to the shotgun, I want to talk about the amount of motion. I always like to do that. Try to find a lot of the motion mini schemes, things of that nature. This playbook has 52 motion plays. Now, again, this is not a humongous playbook. It's less than 400 plays. Most playbooks in this game have over 400. But I just wanted to point out, you can kind of see the theme of a lot of these. You got some orbit, you got some jet sweep, halfback swings, things of that nature. So I actually want to go back to formation, and let's go look at these in sequence in terms of a mini scheme. For example, split Y off. You got a reload power read, you got a snap sweep, and you got a reload play action on top of that. I'm going to call this basic read. And I may just keep this with the quarterback just to kind of show, but it puts the halfback back in there. It's just a really cool play. I didn't read that. I wasn't even reading anybody at that point, but I just wanted to point out, I think that's just a really neat play of what you can do here. With this particular type of play, it's just like a power read, but I like the little motion built into it with that halfback coming into the backfield, and then you're technically reloading at this point. I guess that's why they call it that type of motion. So you got that little mini scheme. You keep on going. You got any other motion in this one? What about double? So here's some jet sweep we looked at a little earlier. Yeah, play action. But this is inside zone split, and this is RPO read slide. So none of this is technically jet sweep oriented until you get to this stuff right here, your jet touch pass, your jet sweep, and then your fake on top of that. Then we got some Z motion. I always find these pretty fun. A Z out, a slip screen, and a Z spot. So those 3 work really well together. And that is it for this formation. But pay attention to the play count. 24 total plays. I would definitely start here. When in doubt, when it comes to a spread playbook, always find a 2x2 11 personnel look, as you see right here, and go find one that's got a lot of plays. I'm guaranteeing you that's probably where the base of the offense is located, and it's probably going to be this formation right here. Doubles offset, there's only only 9 plays here, and there is no motion there. What about doubles Y off? Do we got any motion that's got some series? Here we go. So we have some, it's sort of like an exit motion with the tight end. He's just going from right to left. You got an X spot, you got a slip screen, and you got a spot and go. Then we got some more jet sweep, your typical series, your jet, your inside zone, and you got a vertical look on top of that. Normal off week, we have some orbit motion, and what's cool about this orbit motion is it should be your top receiver going in the motion there. You got a Z under, you got a read option, and you got a PA slide on top of that. I'm going to call this PA slide. It's been a while since I've called one of these. So again, I don't know if zero is their number one receiver or not. But anyway, I think that's just really cool. That it's usually a slot receiver that's doing a lot of the work there when it comes to your jet sweeps. But in this case, it's a different guy. So anyway, I think that's just pretty neat. And we keep on going. Do we have any more from this formation? What about the next one? Wing trips. Do we have any here? We do not. What about wing trips weak? You're just moving your halfback over to the opposite side. Y off trips. Here we go. I like this type, the bounce motion. You got a PA deep out, the basic zone split, and the bounce outside zone. So I actually was having a conversation with somebody about this not too long ago. I like the fact that, you know, when you have a halfback weak formation, you could run the ball a little bit better to the strong side, in this case to the tight end side. In a play like this, when you don't have a halfback weak formation, you can run a play like this. He goes to that side, and then you can go to the strength, to the tight end if need be. You know, so I think that's pretty cool. There's not many bounce plays in this game, and it just makes this particular formation more fun when you have a little mini scheme like that. Do we have anything else in here? What about Y off trips weak? So we got some halfback swing. We got a switch to go with that, and we got a motion Y angle, which is a cool semi-drive type concept. I think that's pretty neat. You keep on going. Do we got anything else? What about trio halfback weak? So here is another little mini scheme. Jet halfback screen, we got the jet touch pass, and we got a Hens jet halfback wheel. So this may be, I didn't check it, this may be an exclusive play just to this playbook when you put the word Hens in front of it, because they were the Delaware, the Blue Hens, if I'm not mistaken. It may be called something else in another playbook, you know, but either way, I think that's just really cool. I suggest you really focus on these plays right here. I think the screen is pretty neat, and the touch pass, I like the fact that the swing kind of goes with it. I'm actually going to call that. The best thing about this is you're running to the tight end side. Hopefully you can get blocking off the edge. Looks like they're going man on this one. Not going to get much on it. Got a few yards. Anyway, I like the backside swing with the halfback. Maybe it should move somebody over, a defender with him. So anyway, cool little series right there. You keep on going. Flanker close. Do we got anything here? Spread-wise slot, we got more. It's not jet sweep, but you got your slot motion with a flood. You got an RPO, and you got a PA slide, and that's technically another flood concept. Then we got more tight end motion. Actually, I'm wrong on that. Technically, it is the tight end. It's a Y slot, but he is going in and he coming in, so it's technically a return. You got a curls, and you got a flat on top of that, which is pretty neat. You don't see that too often in these playbooks. Normal flex snug, like I mentioned earlier, not many playbooks have this one, but there's only 12 plays here. Trips Y slot strong. We got more halfback swing. We got a shock, a mid screen, and a motion X curl post. Not bad. You go to tray open. I don't think we got any here. What about trips Y slot weak? We got more slot motion. Inside zone split, PA flood, halfback counter. The best thing about this is you can spread a defense out, especially if they were like going dime or something. They may be going to cover 4 right here, but you can bring that tight end to help you out a little bit. And then you can cut up field and get whatever yards you can out of that. I think that's just a really cool way to run inside zone with an extra blocker. Pretty neat. Keep on going. I think that's it for this formation. Then we got empty trio. So not a lot of empty formations have motion. This one does. We got a jet sweep series. We got the jet sweep. We got the play action. And we got a power read on top of that. Then we got some orbit out of empty, which is very rare. Orbit drive. We got an orbit QB draw screen, which is pretty cool. And you got a mid screen, and you keep on going, and that is it for the shotgun. So we got a lot of fun, interesting motion. I think you should implement all that stuff. It's just good window dressing to throw at a defense, and you can really tell at times if they're going man or zone. So it's very helpful. Let's talk about the pistol. So this pistol full house strung over, I think is pretty cool. You're just really flooding one side. I highly suggest you use this for like goal line purposes, but having that extra body, it just helps if somebody blocks for you. Of course, didn't get that much there, but I just think it's really neat. You can go to one side and really punish a defense Again, if the blocking is there. But you got 12 plays there. Again, this would be a situational type of formation. Then we got you off trips. I'm just going to make sure we don't have any motion here. A lot of the pistols, sometimes they're just not going to have much motion. And we got bunch. But I've used this as often as you can with the shotgun stuff. But again, I like the fact that it's got a theme here. We're really overloading one side of the field with pretty much all of these formations. So again, mostly shotgun, and you got a little bit of pistol with all that motion built into it. I want to talk about personnel. We've already hinted at some of this. Let's start off at the very bottom. They put this in order. Flanker close. This is technically your only 4-wide look, even though we had plenty of other spread looks. It's very tight end heavy. This formation obviously is not. Of course, you can use some sub package on, I think, on a couple of those 11 personnel looks. Like when you get over to, for example, trips wide slot week, it may have a wide receiver sub package in there where you can get all 4 in there. It may not, though. You'll just have to go check that out yourself. But you go through here, plenty of 11 personnel, as with most playbooks are. Your tight end looks, you only got one. It's just a 12 personnel. 21s are split Y off, so that's fun. That's a fun little mini scheme in and all of itself. 22, your full house strong over. Again, that's going to be situational. Your 32 is your goal line, or your 32 is going to be your QB kneel, and 23 is your goal line. So this is basically an 11 personnel playbook, like most spread playbooks are, and there's really nothing wrong with that. I wish I had a little bit more variation, but it comes down, do you need 6 different 12 personnel formations? Probably not. Do you just need one? More than enough. Again, you got only 18 plays for that one. One other thing I do want to point out, the biggest formation is this one right here, if I can get to it. There it is. So spread wide slot, there's 27 plays here. I suggest you go to that doubles we looked at earlier. It's got 24 plays, and then I would use this one as like your number 2 or 3. This gives you just plenty to work from. You're going to see a lot of these same concepts when we head over to the concept section, and we're going to find out real quick which concepts they really like that's built around those. And that's what makes the playbook what it is. So let's talk about play types next, at least a couple of different things. So again, you can kind of do the math here. It's like a little under 400 plays, one of the smaller playbooks, believe it or not. I do want to talk about play action. We got plenty of play action here, 63 plays. That's actually quite a bit for the playbook as small as it is. So you're going to do a lot of running, and you're going to do a lot of play action off of it. There's just so much in here, I think you need to use it. When it comes to your basic screens, we got 24. I always like to point these out. These are your non-RPO screens, okay? Plenty of halfback, wide receiver, mid-screen. We're going to cover a little bit more of those in the concept section. So I wanted to point those out. I also like to look for QB runs, if there are any. We got 3. Technically, you only have 2. I never really count goal line QB sneak. But you got a reload direct snap sweep, which I think is pretty cool. That's the one we looked at earlier. And then we got a basic halfback direct snap. So if you like basic halfback direct, you got 2 plays here to have some fun with. So that is your play types in general, and you kind of get a sense here of what we're doing here. This gives you a rough idea of what the playbook is all about. You got 26 true option plays and 30 RPOs, so you could treat them equally. It's just up to you what you like to do. But this has got plenty of passing, as you would imagine. So let's talk about concepts. Let's go to the very top and start off with the run game. Notice we got more basic runs than option. Again, you throw the RPOs in those option section. But let's start off with the runs. So this is going to be a basic zone attack, but it's got some good power stuff, some gap scheme if you need it. Starting off, we got 5 counters, 7 draws. That 7 is actually a high number for draws compared to some other playbooks. But you got 29 inside zones. That's an absolute bunch, and everybody knows this is the most common run concept in the game, but 29 is still a really high number. You got an ISO that's at a goal line. Then you got 14 outside zone. That is a ridiculously high number for outside zone. This should tell you this is a zone running scheme, but again, you can also do a little bit of power. You got 11 powers here, then you got those 5 counters we looked at earlier if you want to use them. Otherwise, you could probably scrap them all together. If I was running this offense, I'd be doing like 90% of my run game would be inside zone and then outside zone. There's just so much of it here. And again, outside zone is just very rare to see it get emphasized in a playbook. Well, here you go. This does do that. Let's talk about some sweeps. If you need to do some buck sweep, a halfback sweep, or a strong toss, there's not much here, so don't expect much of it to be an emphasis in your playbook. We got a trap, just more power, more or less. You do got some reverses. I'm not the biggest fan of these DIY reverses. I'm not good at them. But you got 4 of them. 4 is technically, I think, a high number. So that is it for your run game. Again, it's pretty much a zone running scheme. Let's talk about the options. Starting off with the basic option, you got 5 inverted veers. That's actually a kind of a high number for a playbook that's not considered an option style playbook. I'm not really good at these, but there's 5 of them there. You got 2 loads / speeds. These are my favorite type of option plays, but you got 19 read options. So all of that zone running you was going to do, you can implement this if you want to run with your quarterback. Now notice you do got some gap scheme read option, like buck sweep read option. I think that's pretty cool. If you're going to run basic buck sweep, you might as well do the read option with it. But you can also do this Y lead read option. Any of these leads, that's still zone running right there. You're just doing read option on top of that. But you notice most of these plays are zone running. That's going to work perfectly with all that zone running you was going to do with your basic runs anyway. Those are the 2 speeds again. Let's talk about the RPOs. We got 9 reads. A lot of these are a little bit all over the place, either with a bubble or a backside glance or a flat of some sort. 5 peaks. This is like my least favorite of the 3. Then you got 16 alerts. Now, what's cool about these alerts is I like the fact that most of these are to your 2 best receivers, either your number 1 or your number 2, for the most part. As you see here, we got alert screen. Look where the 2 guys who are eligible to get a pass. Your number 1 guy on the left and your number 2 guy on the right. I'm big fans of those. A lot of times RPOs are built around the slot receiver. In this case, you got more options to your outside guys. But then you also got some bubbles that's going to go to your slot receiver. So always pay attention to who these RPOs are for. If you got only one awesome receiver, you might want to stay away from the RPO alert, a bubble or whatever, if that makes sense. Okay. Always focus on your players. But you got 16 alerts. So again, I think this is more of a RPO based playbook in terms of your option. But again, we got 19 read option. 19 is a really high number. So you may want to focus on this as your base option concept and then throw in whatever RPOs you need. Let's talk about the passing game. Starting off, quick pass. We actually got quite a bit here, which I think is pretty cool. Not a lot of playbooks have a ton of quicks, unless you get into like some air raid and whatnot. But we got 4 Ohios. That's actually kind of a high number for it. We got 1 scat, and we got 18 slants. That is a crazy high number. 18 of these. Now, some of these are going to be over in the stick section. As we see here, we got 11 stick. But this is actually a really high number of quick game in general. And then we got 3 spacings on top of that. So emphasize the quick game, especially if you don't really want to do a lot of screens or the RPOs. This is a good complement or replacement for that. Let's talk about the mediums and the deeps. So you notice it's about even. Yes, there's more deeps than mediums, but it's kind of close. But let's go over to the mediums. Let's look at the highlights. Starting off, 18 curls. Any type of curl flat, a hitch of some sort, they're going to dump it. Here, you're going to notice a couple of these that may have its own specialty for like this particular playbook. It's not this one. I think there was another concept we're going to look at here in a minute. Double moves, 10 of these technically isn't a concept. It's just like some random route running a double move of some sort, but there's 10 of them in there. Let's see. Any other high points? They got 7 mesh. I'm a big air raid guy. You can't go wrong with mesh. It always works in this game. Keep on going. We have 11 slot cross. So this is basically your Y cross in the air raid world. And you're going to see more Y cross in the deep section. But we got 11 of those. That's plenty enough of them, more than what you would ever need. And of course, the most common medium pass concept is always going to be smash. And you got 19 of them, a crazy variety. You got some shock. All 3, this is your perfect setup here. Your shock, that is your fade route version. Then you got your hitch corner, that's your classic smash. And then you got your corner strike, which is the corner flat. So if you like any of those, you got plenty of them in here to work with. Then we got 6 spot. I think this goes well with the spacing concept from the quick passing section, but this is basically a Y corner in the air raid world. Then you got 1 Texas route. Let's talk about the deeps. We got 18 comebacks. So all those curls we talked about earlier, this is where you're going to do a lot of the deeper curls, which is what a comeback is more or less. But notice what we got here. This is why I don't emphasize concepts too much. You're going to find a lot of these plays are duplicated in other sections. But anyway, we got plenty of comebacks. So we're going to talk about Dagger next. So Dagger, 10 is a really high number. I'm a big fan of Dagger. You got play action. You got X Dagger. You got Dagger on the other side. As you see here with gun normal Y off weak. I'm just a big fan of Dagger. I like the route spacing, especially like a play like PA Dagger right there. And there it is. Okay, so PA Hens Wheel Shot. So that word hens, again, this may be exclusive to this playbook. It may be called something else for another playbook, but always look out for those. That I would prioritize them. They're in this particular playbook for a reason. So just make sure you look out for that word hens a lot in this playbook. Let's see, any other high spots? We got plenty of flood. So I think the highest amount of flood I've ever seen in a playbook is Oregon. And that's a great playbook. It's an awesome spread playbook, maybe the best one out there. That one has a ton of flood. This one has a ton of flood, in my opinion. 18 is a really high number for that alone. We also got a high number of verticals, 17. To me, that's even high for what that is. Keep on going. We got 8 meals. I wanted to point that out. I love a good post with a dig underneath it. Anything else? We got 9 shots, but again, this is kind of random play action or just some type of over-the-top play. 11 switch, plenty of switch. If you like that post-wheel combo, you got more than what you would need here. Okay, this is one right here. Hens Meals Wheel. There's that word hens again. I'm actually going to call this typical shallow cross with a switch on the other side. I love when they combine. This is going to be an easy throw here. I love it when they combine 2 concepts to either side. You got a, shallow in the middle, shallow cross, and then you got the switch on the other side. I think all that's great. The route spacing here is just insane. I love these types of pass plays. So make sure you look out for that one as well. But 11 is a really high number for switch. I would prioritize it. And we got 4 Y cross. All that slot cross we looked at, you can tack on these plays as well. So plenty of slot cross. All right, play action. We already looked at, there's like over 50 of them. Here, you got different types of play action concepts. You got boot, you got 5 of them, and you got 7 slide. You'd probably do more slide than anything else. We already looked at one of those from earlier, that orbit. From that empty formation, if I'm not mistaken, that was considered a slide look. And when it comes to your screen, so these are all your screens with the RPOs built in on top of them. 8 bubbles. If you like the bubble to the slot, you can go with that. These are your flanker split end screens. These are some of the ones I was talking about earlier, going to your number 1 or your number 2 receiver. I'm a big fan of those. You got 14 halfback slip screens. So definitely use this if you got a dynamic halfback. And then we got 3 wide receiver mid screens. Pretty simple stuff right there. All right, anyway, this is a pretty cool playbook. I'm glad somebody suggested it. It's your typical spread playbook that's got its own specific things in terms of plays. I like that it just got a lot of variety in its motions, as we looked at here. You could just do a lot of fun things with all this, jet sweep, halfback swing, returns, bounce. Then you got all these hens plays. And, again, find the word hens, and you're going to find something pretty special, or at least it's going to be something different than from some other playbooks in the game. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.